everyone, this is Pico Entertainment and we're back again, and here now we have another video for you, and this will be a debate and discussion on negativity and hatred within YouTube. And is it more down to the algorithm or the audience? Now, as we all know, hatred and negativity exists a lot within the internet in general, no matter how big or small your platforms are, and we've all come across it in some form or capacity in terms of trolls or hateful comments. Now, in terms of YouTube, especially when covering pop culture and entertainment, the ongoing debate about toxicity and negative behaviour still continues on. Not just in terms of negativity towards other creators, but more about negative content in general when it comes to covering entertainment, movies, television shows, or just breaking topics or issues within the industry. And when we say negative, we're not talking about it in terms of criticism. There's nothing wrong with negativity if it's constructive and well thought out. In fact, there are times when negative thoughts or feedback can actually be beneficial. The problems arise when a negative commentary crosses the line and descends into personal attacks and hateful abuse, when things go to that level of extremity and excess. So what is the root cause of negativity within YouTube? Is it the algorithm that supports and drives the content, or is it more the audience? Who drives more the negative content? Now, I've been back and forth on this so many times. Now, many could say it's actually the creators' fault themselves. After all, they are the ones who are making the content, right? The less hateful videos that they make, the less negativity that there is on the platform, right? Now, I've watched multiple channels where the creator is faced with this question: why do you make so many hateful and negative videos? Why do you just concentrate on the narratives and the bad drama? Why can't you just focus on the more positive aspects? And generally the answer is because of the algorithm. If we focus on much more positive content, the algorithm won't support it, and if we make more positive content, then our audience won't watch. So to an extent, the creator is beholden to the platform that they work under. When we look at the algorithm, which with all of the data it gains through the analytics, it can determine the titles, the watch duration, and the terminology used throughout each individual video, so it knows which content contains the more hateful subject matter and negativity. So if it realises this, then why does it allow it? For all of the corporate statements about content standards and policy, why is there so much hateful content allowed within the platform? Well, the easy answer is that the negative content gets the views, and the algorithm is driven by what gets the views. It doesn't select which content is good or bad or should be promoted, it simply reacts to it. So if you make the usual videos that we see about being woke, identity politics, forced diversity and representation, then it's very likely that you'll get more views than the other content that you normally make within your channel. Now, whilst I do think content suppression definitely does exist, and that the platform does suppress content creators who don't make the content that it deems most profitable for the platform, and to be honest, this is probably a debate for another day. But when we look at it and say that if the algorithm is reacting to negative content getting views, then what is it that drives the views? It must be the audience, right? It's the audience that clicks on the negative content, which drives the views, which drives the algorithm, which drives the content creators to make more of it. It's the audience's appetite and indeed addiction to negativity that's the biggest reason for the negative content existing. If the audience wanted to watch more positive content, then chances are there'd be less negative content on a platform. Now, let's be clear here, you'll never fully get rid of negative or hateful content altogether. There'll always be people who go too far regardless of whether the audience watches the content or not. But if the audience had a different preference, then the negative content would reduce significantly. I truly believe in this. And this of course points to a much larger cultural issue within society: the demand for controversy and drama and hate. The so-called blood sports has been a habit of cultural society ever since the gladiatorial contests back in the Roman Colosseums. And this will likely stay the same for a very long time as YouTube continues to grow to be amongst the prime source for how audiences watch or consumes content. Now, to be clear, we're only discussing the entertainment side of YouTube. There's plenty of other niches that are far more positive and educational and intuitive. So it can be reduced, I think, in terms of the negative content. But in order for this to happen, there has to be much more of an incentive to make that positive content. And this is when we go back to the algorithm. Now, no, the algorithm shouldn't just push any content just because it's not necessarily negative. Creators still need to work on the quality of their thumbnails, their titles, their overall delivery, their audio, etc, etc. But there has to be a far less suppressing of channels, especially smaller creators who are still trying to succeed on the platform. Channels or creators that are far less extreme with the negative and hateful content shouldn't be penalised just because they don't produce as much hate clicks, that don't generate as much ad revenue. Now, of course, we all know YouTube cares mostly about the ad revenue, but less suppression would actually go some way to lessening the overall negativity and hateful content that we see on the platform. I also think it would help to combat the need to monetize negativity so much. And that can only be a good thing, right? If we have less negativity on a platform, that'll be beneficial not only for the viewers, but also the content creators themselves. It surely must be very draining to constantly make hundreds of videos hating a certain franchise or a certain actor or actress or a certain director. And we can even extend this to a wider debate where that could have certain psychological effects on individuals in general, especially if you have creators who are doing this full time and earning a living from it. Now, some will say in terms of negative content, well, it's really dependent on the quality of entertainment, right? If we had better movies and television series, then the commentary wouldn't be as negative, therefore it wouldn't be as toxic or hateful. Now, in theory, that does make sense. If we had, let's say, less franchises being supposedly mistreated or mishandled, there'd be far less controversy, far less drama, much more positive vibes, and therefore a positive outlook within the platform. And yes, there are examples of certain movies or television shows where there has been, for the most part, a very positive feedback and outlook, and I think that's very good for content creators, their channels, and just social media in general. But we also have to be honest here that a lot of the negative content surrounding entertainment is built up and produced even before people have seen the content itself. As we all know, nowadays, it's much more about the narrative around the content than the actual content itself. We look at so many channels and we see the majority of them spending a lot more talking about the behind the scenes drama, what people have said in certain interviews or appearances, rather than watching the actual content itself. Many people jump on trends making videos about content they haven't even seen, they haven't even heard of, content that they don't even have a clue what it's about, but because of the negative trends that it sets on YouTube, they all jump on it. So I don't think it's enough to merely state that if everything was of a very high quality, then it would end the negativity and hatred that we see on YouTube. As I mentioned before, I do believe it's much more of a cultural issue in general, but the platform certainly doesn't help. And because YouTube has become such a fabric of cultural society itself, then I do believe something has to be done, or more things have to be done, in order to try and lessen the negativity on YouTube. So whilst there are multiple reasons for the reason for negativity on YouTube, yes, to an extent it is down to the creators because they produce the content. Yes, to an extent it is down to the algorithm because it supports far more the negative content than the positive content. It is ultimately down to the audience itself, and I do think as viewers we should start looking far more into the context of the content rather than the drama surrounding it. And I believe once those steps are made, then maybe in the future, and it will be a long time, no doubt about it, we can start to see far less negativity and hatred and toxic behaviour on YouTube. So those are my overall thoughts and feelings on YouTube hatred and negativity and toxic behaviour, and what is the real cause of it, whether it's the algorithm or the audience or the creator. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think it's none of the issues that I've said within this video? Do you think it's down to something else? Do you think the platform does enough to actually protect people from hateful attacks or abuse? Or do you think the algorithm actually exploits it too much, and there should be far more stricter guidelines and policing in terms of negative content within the platform? Is there more responsibility that should be put on content creators themselves? Or is it simply down to the audience and their overall addiction to negativity and hate and drama and controversy? Let me know what you think in the comments, and if needed we can have further debate and discussion afterwards. If you like this topic and discussion and you'd like to see me cover more issues like this within the channel, then also let me know and I will see if I can provide further commentary for you on subjects such as this within the future on the channel. Please also hit and like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.